So, in previous lessons, we learned how to find the distance of a segment like this one and how to find the midpoint of that segment. But sometimes we need to find some other place along that segment. For example, we might need to find the point 2/3 of the way along the segment or 1/4 of the way along the segment instead of exactly splitting the segment in two or instead of finding the length of the whole segment. So now I'm going to show you how to do that. So if I want to find a place that is 2/3, it matters whether I mean from here or from here. It didn't matter to find the middle. The middle's the same distance from both of them. But if this is point A and I forgot to label this as point B, and I want to find the point that is 2/3 of the way from A to B. So let's write that down. 2/3 of the way from A to B. That means that we want to divide this into 3 chunks, and we want 2 of them over here and 1 of them over here, and those chunks the same size. So what we do is we break down the coordinates. We look at the x coordinates and the y coordinates separately and find what 2/3 of each of those distances is. So let's look at my x coordinates first. I start here, and if I look at what's happening on the x, I kind of bump along the x-axis, so I'm going to draw it a little above, but I go 6 units over. So if I want to find 2/3 of the way x coordinate-wise, I take that 6, and I multiply it by 2/3. Well, 6 times 2/3, that'd be 12/3. 12/3 is 4. So I know my new x coordinate is going to be 4. So this green line I'm doing here at 4 is where I'm going to have my x coordinate. And visually I can now see where my y coordinate will be. But if I maybe didn't draw this perfectly, I should still find that mathematically. So let's look at that with the y coordinate. So my y coordinate goes up 3. So I need to find out what is 2/3 of 3 to find out how long that distance is going to be vertically. 3 times 2/3, that would be 6/3. That would be 2. So here, I know it'll be along 2. And this point right here at 4, 2 is the point that is 2/3 of the way from here to here. So that would be the coordinate of my new point. And I just did the annoying math teacher thing where I showed you the easy version, and now we have to make it slightly harder because I started this at 0, 0. So let's look at one that's just like this, but not at 0, 0, and see how they're the same and how they're different. So I'll get out a new sheet of graph paper and scale my axes. And this time, I'm basically going to translate this existing segment that went from 0, 0 to 6, 3. I'm going to just add 2 to everything. So now it's going to start at 2, 2. Actually, no, I'm going to start it at 2, 3. I want all of my numbers to be different from each other. So I'm going to start it at 2, 3. So I'm shifting 3 over on the x coordinate, up 2 on the y coordinate. And so that means if it was at 6, 3 and I'm shifting that over 3, instead of 6, it'll be at 9. And if I'm shifting it up to, instead of 3, it'll be at 5. And that should be the same length of segment as I had in my previous problem, just so that we get a lot of the same numbers in our calculation, but some of them different. And that's so that you can see what changes and what stays the same. So now this is at 3.2. This is at 9.5. And I should use my ruler again so that that is a straight line. So now, when I go to do this, and I'll find the distance 2/3 of the way again. So 2/3 again. And from here, I can see it is still going to be a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is still 6, and I'm still going to end up doing that same calculation, where this ends up being 12/3, which is 4. But clearly it's not going to be at 4 now. So there's another step I'll do. I'll wait and do the next part first as well, which is that this is still 3. Still up 3 from here. But now, 3 times 2/3, I get 6/3 still. I still get 2. So my numbers ended up the same, but clearly 2/3 of the way along, this is in a different point. So now what I have to do is I have to take these answers and add them to my starting point. So I do 4 plus 3 because this x coordinate was 3, and I get 7. And here at 7 is going to be my x coordinate. And I take 2 and I add 2 because that was my y coordinate. And I get 4. And here at 4 is correctly my y coordinate. And so the point that's 2/3 of the way along this segment is at 7, 4. So I had that extra step in the process where I had to shift it to account for where the x coordinate started. And that's how you can find a distance that is a certain fraction along a segment like this.